Thank you so much, GetSetUp, Neil, everybody, for sponsoring me last year and again this year. Just so much fun. I wear my shirt all over town and telling people what it is I do for fun and a living. And I have been a runner for 42 years. Knees are fine. And mom and both sisters had breast cancer. Our family was part of the BRCA1, BRCA2 gene studies. I'm the only adult female without it. And Virginia, tell all my St. Louis friends hello. I was a TV investigative and consumer reporter there on Channel 2 and Channel 4 for a lot of years before I had my kids, and then got this crazy idea to write my first book, Eat Vegan on $4 a Day, because eating a plant-based diet just helped me avoid all the diseases that my family of origin got. So I have placed, what you see behind me is 282 now, 282 5K or longer age group awards in a 5K race or longer since 2006. And I like to say just on plants, because somebody came up to me at a race once and I was wearing my Eat Vegan on $4 a day shirt instead of this one. And they said, you can't run on a vegan diet. And I'm going like, of course you can. And we get plenty of protein. So all of this is to show that you can do it on a budget and for the sake of the planet and the sake of our kids. This has been a wonderful way to combine my mission and get the word out there. So thank you, GetSetUp, for all you do. And I'm looking forward to meeting you all in person.
I cannot wait until we can meet again in person. Actually, Ellen was the only GetSetUp person that I've met so far. So I'm really excited to meet all of the other athletes as well as whoever's going to be joining me in Pittsburgh. Next up, we will go to Madonna, who actually, I believe Ellen and Madonna may be competitors. Is that true?
We're in the same age group.
Yes. Yes.
I'll let you take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm in Tacoma, Washington, and I may be a little fading in and out because I had my track workout this morning and I'm in recovery right now. And Ellen, as you know, your energy just drops after you've had a hard workout. But anyway, I have qualified for 5 national senior games. I'll be competing in my 4th, didn't make the 5th one because I ruptured my Achilles while I was racing, for heaven's sakes. And I started racing at the age of 57, had no prior track and field experience before. And gee, with the senior games, you can just kind of, there's a way for you to participate. And let's see. Oh, I'm also the fast fashionista, nickname I picked up from being on the Today Show. And I had an opportunity to interview with them. And then the interview was played again on Monday to help celebrate Juneteenth. So I'm glad to be here today. And yeah, I'm going to have competition. This is my first time being in the 70 age category. So I'm the new kid on the block. I'll be turning 70 in September. I'm 69 right now, but I'm the new kid on the block. And I think GetSetUp is going to have half of the relay race team. We were talking about, yeah, they're going to have half of the relay team. And we're going to be coached by my coach and Olympic hopeful. So we're going to bring home a medal, hopefully gold, but we're going to bring home a medal. Thank you.
That is amazing. This is the first time that I've heard of half of the relay team. So that is going to be super cool when we go to the National Senior Games. And I see both of you dancing there. That's amazing. So I have a few questions for the athletes here with us, but I really want this to be an informal conversation. So if any of you have questions that you'd like to pipe up and ask them, feel free to just either throw a hand up or jump in, and we can get those questions answered for our athletes here. But to kick us off, I want to talk a little bit about GetSetUp values. And I know that I've talked to our athletes quite a bit about the different values that we have here at GetSetUp, but I wanted to know a little bit about how they see our values. And so let's talk about being bold for a second here. So tell us a little bit, and this is for our 4 athletes that are on here. Tell us a little bit about how you have taken risks in your life. And then second part to this question is, what advice can you give to someone who is about to take a significant risk in their own lives? Ooh. Virginia wants to take it.
Define risk.
So, well, I mean, that's kind of what when I get your email, I was looking at it. I mean, bold implies risk, and usually in our society, and I mean, we're not talking physical risk. I'm not thinking, although I have scuba dived and whitewater raft, rock climbing, things like that. But not actually been scared physically, because you do it safely. Most of the time it's putting yourself out there to something new that you're not familiar with, or don't have a lot of experience, or you think it's really hard and you're afraid, I don't want to look like an idiot. And, the fact is, and I'm sure everybody agrees, if you don't take a risk, you don't ever gain much, and you will not learn much, because every time I've taken a risk, I've learned a lot and I've gained from it. So, and that's been in personal things. Because I started playing volleyball when I was 11, I don't feel that risky, but every time I go to a national senior game, I'm going, oh man, we're being judged now. We're competing. There's a little anxiety there, but if you don't take that risk, there's no game, there's no learning. So anyway, I agree with the question about what is bold and what is risk, but usually it means putting yourself out there in an uncomfortable situation. One time I was on faculty at the University of Southern California, and I just come from Wisconsin, where I'd been playing women's ice hockey. And USC had a men's hockey club team. And I thought, oh, I'll go sign up. And they actually stopped me at the door. I mean, this was like in the 80s. And I was like, they're going, oh, this is men's hockey. And I go, yeah, I know. Anyway, they let me in. I went to practices. They finally accepted me, and it was great. It was wonderful. It was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot, and I met cool people. The ice time at 1 a.m., though, did me in. So anyway, I'll shut up.
Oh, thanks, Virginia. Anybody else, Mike or Ellen or Madonna, have anything about taking risks in your own lives?
Well, I'm going to say that at the age of 57, doing something I've never done before in my whole life, to run 100 meters. And that was a little bit of a risk. But then after I severely ruptured my Achilles, I believe I took a risk again. Let me see, ruptured my Achilles in 2014. And then in 2017, decided to take the risk of sprinting again, because my surgeon said, at your age, you're not going to have the explosive speed. And that was 62 when I severely ruptured my Achilles. So I decided to take the risk in 2017 and say, I'm going to go for it and see what happens. And I won gold in the 50 and the 100. Yeah. Told my therapist about it, physical therapist. She was happy. Told my surgeon, never heard a word from him. So I'm thinking took a risk of doing something. I started, looked like it was going to end, but then I said, hey, let's go for it again and see what happens. And look, I'm here today with all of you.
We're super grateful to have you here as well. So I'm glad that you took those risks, Madonna. Ellen or Mike, anything to add?
Sure. So being a TV investigative reporter, I've had death threats back in the day. So, I just don't take no for an answer if I'm committed to doing something or I think having laser focus on what you want to do is really important. And for me, you know, when I tell people I've been a runner for 42 years, all of a sudden they have a medical degree and go, oh my God, your knees. And I go, you know, they're really fine. Actually, the research supports basically motion is lotion, and runners have better knees than the rest of the population on average. So, and that's because all of us, no matter what our sport, we're using those muscles, use it or lose it. So I just have always tried to be out there. I think of my 3 daughters and what kind of a role model I am for them, and what kind of you know, person they want to see. My parents were so sick and diseased by the time I had kids, they couldn't lift my kids, let alone babysit them. So I wanted to arrive at this wonderful age in a very different manner.
Okay, I would say be bold or be risk. I guess I started at the bottom when I was, you know, I used athletics or get involved in bicycle riding, training and racing as a kind of a recovery tool from my non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2001. And I had stage 4. And so it really became kind of my, you know, methodology, I guess, to lose 100 and some pounds and reset a healthier lifestyle and then take on the challenges of competition, because they you know, everything training, the only way to measure your training, I guess, accurately is competition with other people, so you've got some reference point. And I think my second cycle of here in more recent times of being bold is in was it 2020 or 2 years ago, a little more than 2 years ago. I had to have a triple bypass surgery, and you know, a lot of it was from a coronary heart disease, and a lot of it's related to all the chemotherapy that I had, because I had 3 rounds of chemotherapy and a stem cell transplant, and so the bypass was sort of some of the shrapnel, I guess, that came out of it. So basically I started from zero again 2 years ago, and you know, with my goal is to make it the senior games again, and you know, I have a coach, and we're ready to roll.
Amazing. I can't wait to see how you do when we get there. And it kind of leads to my next question, because one of our other values is being curious. And I'm sure that all of you, when you started out in the sport that you're in, were curious to find out what it was like and get really involved in that. And so I'd love to know from each of you kind of what you've learned so far, how you were curious in your sport, and then also kind of to relate it back to this team here that we have here, how as a team we can continue to be curious in the roles that we have.
Well, I'll go. As I said, I started at the age of 57. And my late husband was my track coach, and he was old school. And now I have a new coach, a millennial. And I am learning the mechanics of being a sprinter. I'm still in the learning phase, and I am, the more I learn, the more I realize there's a lot of stuff I don't know, and I still need to learn. And I am curious about the techniques and why I have to lift weight, why I've got to do all of these drills. And
Okay, you too. That's good.
oh, okay.
Sorry,
And,
it's UPS
oh.
guy.
Okay. I'm done. Oh, okay. And yes, so I'm curious about how far I'm going to be able to go, how much I'm going to learn. And then as part of the GetSetUp team, we have an opportunity to quench our curiosity about what we can learn from each other, because of the opportunities of online learning. And that's it for now. Yes, you have a question?
Yes, Madonna, you're inspiring. It's really, really interesting to hear how you started everything in 50 when you were 57. I was actually celebrating getting some Advil last night and I went for a long bike ride. So I appreciate that. I was just curious, from your difference between your late husband, and I'm sorry for your loss, and your new millennial coach, what are the major differences that you have felt between those two coaches?
My old school husband, excuse me, coach, had me wear a backpack with 5 pounds of bricks and ankle weights. And I jogged and walked everywhere, up hills, down hills. All right. And needless to say, with an Olympic hopeful who was a national champion in high school and went to Oregon, track town, yes, it's drills, it's lifting. And I'll tell you something, I had a bad attitude when he became my coach because things were so different. And I had success with my husband, and this is a hobby, you know, and I thought, what the heck have I got myself into? But then I'm not a quitter, you know, and I thought, this young man is volunteering his time, his expertise. Had to slap myself mentally and say, hey, let's go for it. Changed my attitude, everything I get to do. Now I say, yay, I get to do something new. Yay. And with change comes a new attitude, new experiences. Thank you for asking, Shannon.
I'll just jump in and say that I think part of the key to successful aging is not only your attitude, but keeping an insatiable quest for learning. And I became a certified running coach, a certified personal trainer. I trained with a number of coaches and was actually asked by the high school coach to become the assistant track and field coach for the kids. And that was just an amazing experience. If you have any opportunity to do something like that, I really encourage it. But just keeping an open mind when you go to the games, I just like to stand around and listen to other coaches talking and see what works, because sometimes what worked 10 years ago doesn't work this year. And we're all, I think, dealing with those issues sometimes that rear their ugly heads. I just finished a couple of months of physical therapy, and I view physical therapy as a way of keeping the engine finely tuned. And when you have little things that start to crop up, listening to your body, which is this amazing feedback machine. My whole goal is to finish without injury. That I don't care about coming in first. I want to be running when I'm 100. And that's the number one goal, because I see them at the senior games. They're doing it. And we got to figure out how we all can kind of learn from those kinds of people.
I'm going to chime in that I was fortunate in 2003 to kind of, in the recovery process and starting to write is to link on to the coaching service that Lance Armstrong used, a guy named Chris Carmichael. And Chris was a U.S. Olympic bicycle coach for the team. And he and there was another professor, Edward Burke, that really had developed and cycling being fundamentally an endurance sport, is that they really adapted and changed and really changed the way bicycle training took place, because the East Germans had kind of developed this technique called periodization, where it's a great deal of hard intensity and long recoveries. And so and that's very much how Lance Armstrong was trained by Chris, is obviously at 14 or 15 or 20 hours a week. It's a different level of intensity and recovery, but fundamentally the structure of periodization is really what started me on as a foundation. And then by 2006 or 7 in the bicycle world, the technology of power meters really became to come on the forefront. And I was an early adapter of that, because one, you can really keep track of a tremendous amount of metric numbers, and you really get a reference point to know where you're going and how you're going and what your progress and stuff. And I continue to train with that. And today I train with a service called Joint Base Camp, which is owned by a guy named Tim Cusick, who coaches people like Amber Neben, who is a U.S. Olympic champion. And so it's fundamentally periodization has evolved now into a little bit more different science as more and more physiological sciences has evolved. But you know, I have almost 20 years worth of data in my computer now, and so whether it means anything or not, it's just that I've been able to really kind of learn, as you said, learn from the process, and you continually learn and adapt and move forward. And to me, it's key.
I'd like to put one plug in for the curiosity and what Ellen said about growing old successfully. You know, I have to reinforce what she said. You have to maintain that curiosity. Otherwise, you just sit in a lump. And GetSetUp is perfect for satisfying that need. So I've just discovered you, and I'm looking at all kinds of things, and I love it. I mean, that's, my husband always complains, because I'll go, oh, let's see what's around the bend, and you know, oh, let's see what it looks like from the top of that mountain, you know, and he's like, ow. But you just have to have that curiosity.
I did see that Michelle had a question there.
I don't have a question. I just want to salute my fellow seniors for representing us so well. I'm a 71-year-old active senior, and you represent not only the seniors well, but you represent GetSetUp well. So I salute each of you, because it is the discipline and getting up every day, and every day renewing that discipline is something I can't do it. So I will have my vicarious experiences through each of you, and will be rooting you on. So good on. Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And Ellen, I do want to tell you, my coach one day out of the blue said to me, he said, when you're 100 years old, I'm still going to be your coach. I'm like, oh, okay. That's commitment. Yeah. So I just wanted to, you know, do the tail end of when you said, when you're 100, you still want to be out there. And yes, watching the athletes that are 100 plus it's absolutely inspiring and empowering.
How many of you are going to be in Pittsburgh? Is it a possible? I mean, I don't know. I know Karina will be there, and
I think
I'll
Liz
be
is
there
going to
a
be
couple
there.
days as well.
Oh, okay. Liz is going to be there. All right.
Yes. Looking forward to meeting you all.
It gives you goosebumps. It is so cool when you walk through the competition and you see all these exciting senior athletes. I mean, it just is amazing. There's nothing like it.
I had a question, because y'all have done this before. At the games, do you see like former Olympians or former world record holders who are now in their 70s who come to participate also?
I have, you can, in the track and field in the past, I have, I mean, I didn't know who they were, but when you're in the stands and there's a murmur like, hey, that guy over there, look, he was in the Olympics and such, and you can tell the difference in demeanor, you know, in the Olympians' demeanor, their body type, you know, they're just in a whole different world, you know, at least in that track and field, and everybody sits up there in awe, like, yeah.
Nice. I have a follow-up question. I have a lot of questions, but a follow-up actually maybe to Mike. Most of y'all have started this pursuit much later in life. If you had to go back in time to being like a 16, 17-year-old, would y'all actually pursue the same sport and the same interest and maybe try to qualify for this, for the nationals or the Olympics? Like, would you all go back and do that if you had a time machine?
So when I was 16, I think most of us, that was for women before Title IX. So the resources, the opportunities, I mean, we have Olympic teams, obviously women's volleyball, they, you know, since they started it, but it was very hard. It was not, you know, there was no club sports for young kids. It just was hard. But I think at least if you know, we made it work. As I think I've told Karina, I mean, back then, we would make our own uniforms, school uniforms. We would pool gas money to carpool to away games. We were just happy if the school paid for the referees. It was really a rough time, and I still resent it, but but we got over it. But we still competed. We still went out there. We still had our teams. It just was a lot harder. And yes, I definitely would have wanted to go, you know, up to the highest level if I could have made it. But it was tough.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
My high school in Massachusetts did not have a girls' track team. So there we go.
Yeah.
It was rough. So
It wasn't in college either.
I have a quick question. Hello, I'm Ellen. I work for GetSetUp and I'm in Rhode Island. And I'm just so amazed. I love meeting you all today. I just have a question. Physically, I get it. You're out there, you're practicing. What do you do before the race mentally or the night before to calm your nerves, or maybe you don't have nerves, but I'm just wondering what your trick is for that.
Oh, I think all of us have nerves. You know, it's just a part of the human condition called stage fright. And I think the trick is, and I'm guessing many of the other, if not all the athletes agree, you get into this routine that just works. And it can be like, I always drink beet juice. I should probably keep some of my secrets to myself, but you know, it's just the warm up.
I won't be drinking beet juice. Okay.
Well, people sometimes they've come up to me at races and go, "Are you drinking wine already?" Like 8 a.m, right? And but you know, you get more nitric oxide, and I had chronic bronchitis and asthma as a child. So the idea that I can do this at this age is still kind of mind-boggling. But I have my favorite running shoes, and I have my support group. And usually they're there in some form or fashion for me. If they're not physically there, you know, we've had some other kind of contact.
Nice. Thank you. Love hearing it.
You know, I mean, for bicyclists as and especially senior bicyclists, what I've found now as I've gotten older from competing 20 years ago today is I have, you know, because in a time trial, we're going from 0 to 100 in like 5 seconds. So basically I'm going from, let's say 80 heart rate to my maximum of 160 in the thing in about a term of about a minute and a half.
Wow.
So you really have to roll up to the line really warmed up. And in the old days when I was younger, that was a 30-minute period. Today it's a 60-minute period that basically I set the bicycle up on a trainer and I have a routine. Amber Neiman, the Olympic champion, is the one who gave me the routine. So I have a 45-minute routine of warm up to really, you know, push my heart rate up in short periods and basically get set up that I can roll on. So there certainly, as Ellen said, there's a certain level of anxiety, but you really dial into this process of getting ready. And by the way, I use beet juice too, by the way.
Thank you.
For those of you who have children, have you inspired them to be involved in any kind of competitive sports?
This is Virginia. So I have 2 daughters, and I coached them from the time they were 8 years old, and there was opportunity for them to play. And they played in high school. They played club sports, and they're very good. As a matter of fact, my oldest daughter few weeks ago competed at the US Open, the USAB, the National Volleyball Championships. And in the women's A division, her team won the gold medal, and she was named to the all tournament team. And so I always say, she's mine. I had something to do with that, but she's actually way better than I ever was at her age. And, you know, so we're a volleyball family. We're very pleased with it, proud with it. And my team plays in leagues during the week to kind of keep our in shape and stuff. We don't have practices. It's just too hard to get 7, 8 women together, and then you have to find another team to play. You guys are lucky as individual athletes. You can just go out and do it when you want to. And sometimes they'll come and sub on my team, and my team loves it. So it's wonderful.
Yeah,
So-
my daughter's a competitive tennis player in Virginia, and competes in whatever the USTA levels, something. I don't really understand tennis that much. And then the one that I'm really kind of excited about is my granddaughter, my daughter's daughter, who is a sophomore in high school and a lacrosse player in the Washington DC suburbs. And she was just named as a sophomore in the top 10 of the Washington DC area in playing lacrosse. So she's really accomplished, and she'll obviously be going to college somewhere, but I'm so proud of her, and I hope that she's watched me race ever since she was a little kid. So I'm hoping I was some inspiration to her, but she drives on her own.
I have 3 daughters, and 2 of them started running track on their own in high school. You know, I'm not a stage mom or anything, but I have an uncle who broke a high school track record. So I suspect there is a genetic quality to the whole fast twitch thing that's going on in our family. But I tell you that one of the happiest days of my life was when the two of my daughters and I and their significant others, we all did a 5K together. And to be able to do that was one of really my lifelong dreams. And I think they do CrossFit, the 2 of them. One of them's in the Army, and fitness is just a very high priority in their lives. And of course, they did know some of our the older relatives who were suffering from cancer and diabetes and heart disease. And, you know, like me, that was a big inspiration to try and fight off the genes.
There was a comment in the chat here that said, it was from Greg, and it said, I think the best way to teach your children is to do the things that you want your kids to do. Live by example. It worked for my kids. So I definitely would agree. And Virginia said, absolutely. I say I created my own subs. Amazing. Okay, I'm going to move on to our next question. I really love all of the conversation that's going on right now. But one thing about GetSetUp that we all are always trying to create is a sense of community. And I know we talked a little bit about the sense of community at the games and what that feels like. But I would love for you to just share a little bit about your experiences with the other athletes that are at the games, with your own athletic community, and just share a little bit about how you feel while you're there and what it's like.
So I'll jump in real quick, because with a team sport, you're taking your community with you when you go. But then we've been playing in so many tournaments and over so many years, the community gets smaller as you get older, because people drop out because of health or whatever. And we actually get to know everybody really, really well. And so as long as we're not playing them at the moment, we're all hanging out together, and we know each other's, you know, family stories and things like that. It's a very supportive, a lot of nice camaraderie. And sometimes they're playing against you. Next tournament, maybe I'll ask them to play with us. You know, it just is really a very, very friendly situation for volleyball.
I think the same is true for running. I'm actually in text communication with some of my previous 4x1 relay competitors. And, we all go out to eat and they all appreciate good ideas for that. So very much a sense of camaraderie that kind of keeps us coming back, I think.
I think the most rewarding kind of community that I've experienced over the years is recovering from cancer, and then I really got involved in the Livestrong Foundation very early on, raised quite a bit of money for them and participated in their events. But one of the things I did was I started racing with the Livestrong uniform, the bicycle kit, and at the senior games and the state games. And at the time I lived in Pennsylvania, so I would compete in New Hampshire and in Connecticut and Pennsylvania and New Jersey and Virginia and all those states up in the state games, just because it was a good way to meet people. And I would race with a kid, and people would come up to me afterward and talk to them about their sisters or their husbands or their friends who were dealing with cancer, and that what I was doing was an inspiration, and could I talk to them, or what advice you give to them, and everything else. And I think that kind of sense of community of people, kind of looking for a pathway of survivorship for their friends and for themselves was something, as in all the years that I've done it, has been the most rewarding of everything I've done.
I'll say that the track and field people that I've met, I'm still in contact with some of them. And in 2019 in Albuquerque, once all the track and field was over, I became the mascot for the women, for a women's basketball team out of Texas. And I thought, we happened to be staying in the same hotel, and around at night, people come downstairs or hanging out in the lounge or the lobby, and we, the people that I was with, we noticed these women are really tall, so that, they must be basketball players, and you start chatting, and then the next thing I know is, oh, come watch us play. And I showed up to watch them play, and they said, well, come sit on the bench with us. and when they went into the huddle, I was right there with them, and I became their mascot, and I'm still in contact with them. And I saw them last year, and I hope to see them again this year. So you never know what kind of friendships that you're going to make in with other people outside your own sport. Who knows when you're going to become a mascot for another team,
Karina, you're muted. Oh,
Did you
okay.
have something to ask? I saw you come on and off of mute. I wasn't sure.
No, I was just going to make a comment to Michael, because we were talking about community. Michael, I just started following you on Strava, which actually is a very interesting community for cyclists. And I met a lot of my friends also just cycling on Strava and just connecting. But I'm going to follow you. So I found you there.
It is an interesting community.
Yeah.
Runners can belong to Strava too, by the way. The people are runners. I don't know if you know.
I'm on it too. So yeah, I'll have to look for you.
Oh, we'll
Might
have
be
to
a
look
cool
for you.
class for us to give on GetSetUp, how to use Strava.
I just compared Michael's stats with mine, and I'm kind of embarrassed now. So Michael, another fact, one of our co-founders, Lawrence, actually also trained with Livestrong 20 years ago. So I don't know if you all overlapped at some point, but he trained with Carmichael in Boulder for a bit and was part of the crew. So I will connect y'all. Y'all might
Isn't it a small
world, yeah.
Our last value at GetSetUp is to be empowering. And I know that we've talked a lot about how you athletes are really empowering and you're really inspiring. And I would love to know, because now it's a larger platform that you are basically out there presenting yourself on at GetSetUp. And I'd love to know just what exactly that you would love to make sure that your peers or anybody that's looking at you at this time gets from this experience that you're in. So what would you love to share? Make sure you get across.
If I could, I'll jump in, because I think about this a lot, is that, so when my team was kind of getting excited about GetSetUp, a lot of them kind of came across as, but nobody wants to know about me. Nobody wants to hear my story, or I don't have anything to offer. And I was like, are you kidding? I mean, and Karina has talked to us now. And I mean, understand, we have, one lady's got 3 joint replacements. You know, one has 1. I've had 4 arthroscopies. It's like 3 ones. I only have 2 knees. And so, encouraging, and then, it's like, yes, people do want to know that. And when we have this bigger platform, I think that, the big message I want to see get across is, yes, anyone can do this. And lots of people do. It's available. It's, and the community is so encouraging and welcoming. You got to try it. You got to take that risk.
Well, when I read the question, I thought about all of us being seeds of opportunity and GetSetUp as the fertile ground where we can share life experiences and have an opportunity, and everybody has an opportunity to grow.
Love that. Thank you. Mike, what about you? What do you want to make sure everybody knows out of this experience?
Well, I think that the message is like what, and I'm gonna repeat kind of what Ellen said about, I think we as a group are all motivated to go as hard as we can, as long as we can, and I think probably in the background inspire as many people as we can. It's maybe not a conscious purpose, but it, we represent probably the top 0.5% of people of our age group in terms of fitness. And there's a message, there's an underlying message behind this, which is fitness and diet, and some of the, like the word I want to use, calmness that comes with athletics and self-satisfaction are what gives us longevity. And I think, are some of the keys to longevity. I mean, there are no guarantees, and something can happen tomorrow, but still, I think if in terms of communicating to the GetSetUp community, it's trying to push that message, is that, we're I don't want to use the word elite, but we're high level athletes, and we care, and we want to share what we've done to inspire other people to kind of get off the couch and start moving.
Yeah, I think it's, as others have said, just leading by example, and just having the energy. That's the thing that I get the feedback the most about. You don't move like a 70-year-old. I don't know what a 70-year-old is supposed to move like.
Exactly.
And then when you go to physical therapy and you see, but for the grace of God, I mean, I'm glad I wasn't in a car accident, but there are so many other things you can do to prevent the kinds of things that people say are either genetic and they're not, or that can bring you, it's just the result of aging. No, it's not, just, I think being a third daughter and just being naturally rebellious, it's like kind of going against what conventional wisdom seems to be, and showing that leading by example, that's really possible for so many people who wouldn't even think. I've met a lot of runners who have started in their older years. And sometimes it's an advantage because they don't have 40 years of wear and tear on their joints. So there are lots of reasons why it's never too late, and age is just a number.
I want to do a quick ad too, because, it's kind of interesting in more recent days here as an inspiration to even to the medical community that, obviously having a triple bypass and I get monitored by the cardiology department at the University of Michigan on a pretty regular basis. And, I can meet with my cardiologist who's part of a team, and I can show him my heart rate data where I can average 150 heart rate for 45 minutes, and it just blows him off the scale. And he takes a chart down, he or she, but it was a woman before and she left, but they take the chart down, share it with the other cardiologists as kind of a reference point of, look at, here's a 73-year-old guy who's had triple bypass that can do this. So for them, it becomes one of, wow, things are possible. It's, you're so far out of the norm that people pay attention and they pick their head up and go, wow, this is cool. Whether it changes the world or not, it's that messaging that we all make as athletes in very subtle ways.
I would also encourage the other athletes, if you haven't done this, to participate in the physical therapist's voluntary evaluation at the check-in area. And they go through all these parameters of flexibility and strength. And, you squeeze a strength measure thing, just all these
hand
tests.
dynamometer.
Yeah,
It's
whatever.
a hand dynamometer. So, yeah.
And, they just they're going like, wait, wow, this is, it's kind of like we're from Mars or something.
Before we
Yeah.
wrap it up today, I just wanted to open the floor to anybody else that's in here. If you have any questions, comments, anything that you'd like to share with our athletes. I do a lot of talking to them, so I will leave it in your hands if there's anything.
Hi, I have a question. If nobody else has one, I can. Hi guys, my name is Jimena. I work in social media. I'm the one who has been posting of your videos and pictures. So it's very nice to see you all live. And I wanted to ask you, you all had so much experience in, as an athlete and exercising and stuff. How do you find, or no, hold on, let me rephrase. What would you tell younger people like me? How do you, okay, no, never mind. I'm gonna rephrase. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. What advice would you give younger people that are trying to get into exercise or running, cycling, tracking? What's your advice with all the knowledge and experience that you have?
I'd say you're never too young to start taking care of yourself. I believe that, and only because I taught high schoolers for 32 years, just because you're young and you think you're in shape now, things change, your bodies change, and there's a lot of changes in life. Get into a positive mindset of doing some kind of activity. Being cute is one thing. I'm pretty, I'm cute. It's not necessarily gonna last. And as you advance in age, your health and fitness is way more important than dyeing your hair, the false eyelashes. Your health and fitness is way more important.
I would also add that, so when I was younger, I decided instead of working out, I wanted to play games. So find something that you like, that's fun, and it'll motivate you to work hard to, enjoy it and get good at it. You play racquetball, you play tennis, you play badminton, volleyball, you run. If you enjoy it, find the thing that you enjoy. I do not enjoy going to the gym. I do it so I can keep playing volleyball. But the volleyball is what keeps me working out. So find something you really like to do and go for it, or a couple of things, not just one thing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. They are opening all over the country now more of these indoor rock climbing places. And one of the fittest women I know, who usually beats me when she ages up into my age group, so annoying, is she does this, and she actually qualified for the Olympics. That's the difference between the Title IX cutoff, and she just has muscles popping all over her, and she and her husband, her whole family goes and does that. So yes, there are all these different kinds of workout clubs if you don't like the standard gym, or just find a scenic trail. There are bike trails all over the place, which you can walk on, and make that commitment to get out like once a week to some place you travel to, or just every morning, like I said in the chat, go for a walk 30-60 minutes if you can. Indoor surfing, wow.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, stay positive.
For sure.
No, I think Virginia says she has to go.
I'm sorry, guys. My husband's outside the hotel room waiting to get in, so I gotta get off. So.
Thank you.
Thank you all. It's been nice. Bye.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Virginia.
Get the games.
It is 2:00 right now, so I know that a lot of people do have to go. Neil, anything I saw you point.
I just want to wrap up. I know everyone wants to go, but all of you are like just inspiration to, I guess, a lot of us here, but also to me. I want to say 3 years ago when I started GetSetUp, my actual dream was to have a Red Bull. You know how Red Bull sponsors athletes? I wanted to have a Red Bull kind of GetSetUp team of cool people like y'all who go and do amazing things, like follow your passion, whether it's in music and in sports. And so actually seeing it come together, thanks to Karina and all of y'all who've actually inspiring us, it really makes me very proud. And so I hope y'all go win and do your best. And hopefully even I can come and see y'all. But I just wanted to share, like, this is one of those things that it was a risk when I started GetSetUp, but I knew I wanted to have a team like this. And I'm so proud that y'all all decided to be part of this GetSetUp team program. And we'll have more of this to come as long as GetSetUp is around. So keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
activating your pebble power.
I would say, having quite honestly never hearing of great GetSetUp until we started this interaction, is in kind of beginning to do a dive into the GetSetUp thing. It's almost like drinking from a fire hose of all the options that you have. and because you go on the site and there's such a spectrum of choices and interests, and I commend you for being able to sort of try to wrap your hands around this and kind of, it really doesn't matter whether people are doing stuff about yoga or they're doing stuff about cooking or traveling or whatever, but you've kind of raised a whole level of people with different passions and purposes, and gave them a platform to teach others about it. It's an amazing organization. I commend you and all your whole team for what you've done.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. And I will one day see you in Michigan on a bike ride.
Okay, anytime.
Yeah.
14 hours a week, so I'm always available.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much to the athletes again, and thanks for everybody for coming today for this event. It was really fun to have everyone, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Good luck.
Karina, for hosting.
See you in Pittsburgh.
See you there.